I'll just get started, I guess. It's been a couple minutes after. I am recording at least, so we can upload it. Oh, hold on. Let me go back to the beginning so that I can have a nice intro. Welcome back, everybody. Just a couple quick announcements for this week. Next week, we'll be doing a fun little meeting. Risk and reward, or what I would like to call the gambling meeting. I've been looking forward to that one personally, so tune in for that one. Game Jam's still coming up. It's going to be on April 10th, so make sure it's in your calendars if it's not already. Be there, be square. It'll be a good time. So, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Bessie, right?
Yeah, but Loki.
Okay, Loki, I forgot to update that from last time. So, additionally, we will be having our last social night of the semester next Friday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., Marston 2200. We will be doing a little Smash Bros. Tournament with a small prize. So, yeah. Anyway, this week we're going to be talking about analog games. So, there's a bunch of different types of them, ranging from like board games to tabletop RPGs. Those are still technically board games too, but they're a little bit different in some ways. Card games and social games are the other kind of two main types of games that we'd kind of classify. That said, this is not like a like a strict list or anything like that. That said, though, we do have a guest today, Robert from the Guild of the Board Gamers and Role Players. So yeah, he's gonna be talking about a little bit of info about tabletop RPGs. So let me pull up your slides real quick. Yeah. Oh shoot, I'm taking a moment. Oh, it's now on.
I was gonna say that is not on my slide. I don't know what to talk about there.
That was a personal project I'm working on. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'll let you get started then. So.
Yeah, well, like Wyatt said, I'm Rob. I'm part of the Guild of Board Gamers and Role Players. We meet twice a week, Saturdays in 205, that's the big room in the center, and also Mondays in the evening. How many of you have played a tabletop role-playing game like Dungeons & Dragons? Okay, so most people. Okay, cool. That's important because it's not quite the same as a board game, so I'm glad you have some experience because it's different. You're not competing. Oop, almost tripped over your back there. Okay. I've been doing them for a while. So Wyatt texted me and said, can you figure out how to change the slide? And I was like, yes, I can change the slide for you. Okay. No, some good news with regards to tabletop RPGs. There are a lot out there now. Like the one that everyone's familiar with, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, you can get that at Target, but if you dig just a little bit beneath the surface, there's probably an RPG for whatever you have in mind. Space exploration, superheroes, whatever. So that's good news. That means also you don't have to start from scratch. Like if you want to design your own role-playing game, you can look at something similar and do that. Like I said before, it's not the same as a board game because it's cooperative. Some of the rules in a game have to be like balanced so that one player doesn't just run away with the game. But because you're not competing, you don't actually have to worry about that too much. Suffice to say, too, most of the time, if you have a bunch of people getting together to play a game of D&D, like everybody's there to have fun. I won't say it's impossible that you won't have fun, but it's kind of hard, I'd say, because everybody's on the same team in that way. I've found some things that are not fun. We mentioned Monopoly earlier. Raise your hand if going to jail is your favorite part of Monopoly. No, it's not a fun part of the game because it's explicitly saying you don't get to play the game anymore for a few turns. So, strangely enough, in, again, the 5th edition D&D, the kind you can get at Target, they've had a lot of time to think through the rules, and sometimes they keep printing rules that say you stop playing the game. Personally, I just think that's ludicrous. Another one from Monopoly, math. When you try and repurchase a mortgaged property, you have to add 10% sales tax to it, and the game does not say what that is. You actually have to do the math yourself. It is everybody's favorite part of Monopoly. I can't wait to do sums. So keep that in mind. Just things you've learned from board games or experiences you've had. Was that fun to do? No. Okay, I put The Prince Machiavelli. It's a really short book. Great read in my opinion. There was actually a line in there that I think applies to like board games and tabletop RPGs. He says that somebody will forgive you sooner if you killed their father than if you took their money. And what that means is people do not like it when you take their stuff. So think, why is Monopoly a maligned game? Because you have to take other people's money. If it were taken from the bank, there wouldn't really be a problem. It'd just be like, oh, I landed on a hotel. Go ahead, Marty, pick up $200 for passing go. But that is not a fun part of the game. It doesn't mean you can always eliminate all the unfun parts, but it's just something to keep in mind. Okay. The second, and maybe it's the last point I have, I don't remember. Granularity. For those of you that have played Dungeons and Dragons, you'll know there's a bit of a learning curve. Between these two, these are from two different role-playing games. Which one has more rules? The one on the right or the left?
Probably the one on the right, if I had to guess.
Yep.
I'm gonna go on a limb to probably say it's Dungeons and Dragons, but
Exactly. Now, this isn't necessarily bad, because some players come to the table and they really want to know the rules, so they know, like, okay, if I do this, I get this bonus, and in this situation, etc., etc., etc. That's why the character sheet is so big, so those kinds of players can really have a field day. But it costs something, because the more granular you try and make the rules, the more detailed the rules are, the more you're going to forget, the longer it takes to actually run the scenario or referee. So it comes at a cost, so just keep that in mind with granularity. If you want the most granular game that I know of, the 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons from the early 2000s is widely regarded as the most rules-heavy edition of the game. And I don't have a picture for Knave 1st edition. Knave 1st edition, the rules are on 6 pages. They're like this big. It's just beautiful. I love that game. But 2nd edition is also really good. It's just not a 6-page book. I'm going to give an example of granularity, and then that'll be it for me. I always wanted a game to have a system where traveling in the wild was fun, because that is Lord of the Rings, right? The Fellowship is traveling through the wilderness. That's the point of the adventure. And I thought to myself, okay, what happens in the wilderness? There's weather, okay, and you could run into monsters, and you could get lost, and you could run out of food. I think maybe it came up with one more, and I thought, okay, so I'm going to check every single turn for the weather. I'm going to check every single turn for the monsters. Do they show up? For what direction the wind is going. And I was making it really, really granular. It would have taken me a minute every single time just to roll the dice and figure it out. But I'm going to shout out Knave once again, because Knave just has it all in a single roll. And the way this will work is every turn you roll this, and that's the hazard that appears. So is it as granular as, oh man, you encounter these monsters, but the wind is going northwest. Ooh, what are you going to do now? No, it's not as granular as that, but it's so much more doable. And it gets the point across that you can get low on food or have weather complications or stuff like that. So yeah, I think, what did I talk about? Granularity, and then rules that are not fun. Some rules are not fun. And I think that's it.
awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for coming. Sweet.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, good luck in your analog game making endeavors.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you actually took my seat. Perfect.
Yeah, I didn't
I'll
realize
need
that
this
either.
back, though.
Yeah, that's fine. Alrighty. So back to that. Okay.
Frog.
Okay. So yeah, thank you again, Robert, for a little bit of info. Oh, I don't want my info up there. So yeah, that's just a little bit of kind of information about tabletop RPGs. We'll kind of just talk about a little bit about just general other types of analog games. Board games generally can kind of just be pretty broad as a whole. I mean, you got a whole bunch of different ones like deduction games, kind of a little bit cooperative games. There's some role-playing games like D&D. It's still kind of tabletop RPGs are kind of a little subcategory of this. There's some games that require stuff like a little bit of dexterity, like Jenga, or just ones that are pretty much luck-based. There's a popular term for that. It's Ameritrash. So yeah. There's a lot of different types of card games as well. Some of these can kind of be a little luck-based as well. A popular kind of early sort of mechanic for a lot of card games and stuff, or even just games in general, is luck. a lot of different like board games, card games, etc. All kind of like have either like some type of like dice or chance mechanics to kind of keep things a little interesting too, and not have it be like you can solve the game in a sense. So that's something that kind of like to keep in mind. Obviously, like if you have a deck of cards, you shuffle it. You know, you got 52 cards. You have a bunch of different scenarios that can kind of happen given the type of cards you pull. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're kind of like working with those. And there's kind of a little bit of benefits to incorporating certain parts of these type of games. So like card games, again, they have a lot of different like sort of like strategies you can kind of come up with, especially like in sort of like these big kind of like collectible card games. A lot of big kind of fun part of that for people is like building a specific type of deck. As it allows for a lot of like different types of like player agency and being able to explore like, hey, yeah, I want to kind of make a build where it just kind of like the other person doesn't get to play the game at all for like the entire time, and like that's fun for you, maybe not for the other person. So there's a lot of different types of like strategy games as well, and some games even just like kind of mix in like board game mechanics with like some card game stuff too. So. Social games, these are pretty loose on like what they kind of can be. A lot of the time it's like kind of more like party games, sometimes like cooperative stuff. Generally stuff that's just kind of meant to be like pretty lighthearted and like fun. Like you're not really like playing a party game to be like, yeah, I'm in first place, kind of thing. I would say like code names generally is like, you know, a little competitive, but you're not like, the games are so quick with that where it's not, there's pretty low stakes for losing essentially. I know like obviously stuff like headbands and stuff, or like Cards Against Humanity, it's kind of just more about like the actual game itself being kind of fun, not so much of like winning. I don't know if anyone really plays like Cards Against Humanity or like apples to apples with the intent of like winning. It's just about having fun, and that's like, I would say, a good kind of like, you know, mindset to have with like your board games and just analog games in general is like, at the end of the day, you kind of just want to make sure that the game is largely fun for people, because that's what gets people actually enjoy playing it. That said, you can have things that you don't have to have like the entire experience be like perfect and like, you know, there's no friction. Because a lot of time friction is kind of what makes these games interesting. So, but yeah, I guess I kind of asked a little bit at the beginning for what some of your guys' favorites are. So, I don't know. Do you guys want me to? You guys have any other suggestions for them, or like hidden gem board games? Yeah, what's up, Garen?
You remember? Anyone remember Sorry?
Yeah,
Yes.
Sorry's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
What was that? I need to-
I would say Candyland, but I haven't played that one in years.
Candyland's
Oh,
okay.
Does Uno count?
Yeah, I would say Uno's like a analog game or board game. Well, it's not really board, but yeah, Uno's pretty good. I always enjoy a little bit of Uno. So, it does come with your Xbox. So,
What?
there's like a meme of like it's like, you have Uno, it came with your Xbox kind of thing. So,
I should.
Is
get
that for
Uno.
real?
there's like some, it's like a
well,
video.
The guy has the oldest Xbox known to man.
So
Right.
you wouldn't have it, no. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like them arguing back and forth.
Oh, I
But
have one.
okay, what's your one?
Look up Veiled Fate. It was a very fun
What?
game of deceit and cooperation. The whole idea is that like you get like, it's like 4 to maybe 10 players all on a board, and like you guys are gods, and each player has like 2 demigods that they're trying to level up, and everyone has a secret partner, but no one really knows who the partner is, and you're trying to like screw over everyone else that isn't your partner, and you're trying to figure out who is your partner. It's just a whole thing. I read it.
This looks kind of sick, actually.
It
Yeah.
was really fun.
Huh.
I played it and I won actually, so that's why it was so fun.
Is it like okay?
But like you put your little characters on missions to level up, but no one knows who your character is. So like if you keep helping one particular character, everyone knows that, hey, you have something in it for this guy. I'm
Gotcha.
gonna screw you over.
That
And
sounds-
it's really cool.
That's sick. Nice. Remind me of this after the meeting. I want to look into that more. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, sure.
Sweet. Okay. I guess anyone else have any like hidden gem board games I can think of, or analog games in general? Yeah.
Yeah, there's one that I keep bringing home to my family whenever I visit them for Christmas. It's a card game called Bonanza, and it's like Go Fish, but instead of just saying like, "Why do you have any threes?" and then you have to hand it over, I actually have to barter for
Okay.
you're trading bean cards.
Oh yeah, I think we played that.
Yeah.
That was the game night for the game sign.
Yes,
Yeah, that was
and-
fun. So,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because I was pretty sure I played that with you. Okay, sweet.
Yeah, Bonanza is
Yeah.
the name.
One that I'm personally kind of fond of. I mean, I'm an art guy, so I'm a little biased, but Hues and Clues is a fun one. Essentially, you draw a card and it has like a specific color on it, and you have like a little board, and essentially like you want to try to like put a little marker as close to the actual like color as you can. Or I think that's it's been a minute since I played it, but I don't know. That one's always kind of fun, and it's like pretty like simple for the most part. That said, it's like if you're colorblind, I guess it's probably a little hard, but still a fun game. So yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll just kind of talk a little bit about like designing board games. So like I found a couple like good resources for like either just finding board games or just like kind of like building your own. Board Game Geek is just a free website. I actually just pulled it up a couple seconds ago, and it just essentially has like a whole archive and like a bunch of info on like a whole bunch of different board games. So if you have like an idea in mind that's like, you know, you're wanting to do some type of like maybe tabletop RPG, or you want to do like a kind of war game, it would be a great resource to look into like other similar games and kind of like figure out like what you like and don't like about those. Tabletopia is a little bit similar, where they have a bunch of like online games you can play. They also have a really cool like sort of like you can like build your own board games on the like website, which is kind of neat. I actually have a little activity with that later that we can look into. So and then also Tabletop Simulator is kind of like a classic online video game, kind of like you can pretty much play board games with each other remotely and stuff. But also it's like I did a little research into it. It's not like super difficult to actually implement your own board games into it. If you just want to like put in the game pieces and stuff, you don't actually need to code at all. Like it's actually really simple to actually put stuff into Tabletop Simulator. It's if you want to do like some of the complex like automated things, you'd have to do like a little bit of scripting. But yeah. So yeah, this is like not extensive as either, but I just wanted to provide like a couple different like things I found that are like kind of helpful for making board games, or analog games, I guess I should say. In terms of like just general kind of like mechanics to consider when you're designing a analog game, of course I mentioned earlier dice and cards are kind of like the go-to for like just simple like mechanisms for kind of creating chance, or like like Monopoly always has like the little like what is it? What are they called? Like the cards like you can draw that like have like certain
There's
effects
the
on them.
chance cards and the community chest.
Yeah, both of those. So like having things like that can also just add a positive or negative type of chance as well, without like having to just dice. You can kind of flavor them a little bit, add some cool artwork as well. There's a lot of different games that also have like tiling in some cases, kind of like dominoes sometimes, or like even just like there's a couple games where it's essentially like you're trying to like essentially like explore, and you place down these little tiles. My family and we play Catan quite a bit, and so like that one, not really tiling, but we do like to kind of mess around with, since they are kind of tile-based maps. You can kind of create your own maps, and a lot of the time they are horribly imbalanced, which is why I think they provide specific ones for you. But it's also something like that you could kind of make a game out of that. So it's something also you can look into. Push your luck kind of games, generally just kind of like games with that kind of like mechanic. It's usually just like, I don't know, I would say like Jenga is kind of a close enough sort of thing, where it's essentially like usually you're trying to like do something repeatedly until it's like a little risky or so. A lot of time just, a lot of like analog games like to employ like luck and chance in them just to keep them kind of like lighthearted and fun. it's not really like a, oh yeah, I can outskill you by drawing +4 card 3 times and then winning the game in Uno, like kind of thing. Some games are kind of like set collection focused, so you're trying to collect like a certain number of like cards or tokens or something like that. And once you have like a array of them, you can pretty much just win. Deduction games are one of my favorites personally, where you're kind of trying to like play a certain role and like maybe try to mislead other players. It's very like social based. So there's less of like sort of like strict game mechanics. It's more so like interacting with other people. I always think those are really fun. I know like there's one that's I don't know if there's another name for it. I know it's like Secret Hitler, where you like essentially like one person is like playing as Hitler and you're trying to like pick them out from like the group essentially, and you have like certain cards and stuff that you're kind of working through with. Personally, kind of like find it quite fun. So yeah. Then last one's kind of just like another mechanic is like negotiation. A lot of time it's like not really like there's not too many games that are, I feel like, specifically designed around having like negotiation mechanics, but it's more like say like I'm playing Monopoly, for example, and it's like, oh yeah, Adam has a Park Place, and I really want that because I have Boardwalk. And so it's about trying to like figure out how we can kind of like come to a mutual agreement of sorts.
You're not getting Park Place, pal.
But like, what if I
those
give
are
you?
my blue
What if
spaces.
I give you $1 kajillion? Like that kind of interaction is like what kind of makes the like scenarios like that kind of fun. And sometimes you don't have to like specifically like rule around negotiation. It can kind of be up to the players what they want to do. But yeah, so that's not like an exhaustive list of like, you know, every single board game, analog game, like kind of mechanic. But I don't know. Do you guys have any in particular that like you can kind of think of that are like fun ones in your opinion?
Okay, this is a bit of a long shot, but you remember those Lego board games?
I do not.
What? Look up Lego board game. I can't remember what the name is for the life of me. But the whole idea is that you get a little. No, not that.
Oh wait, this one seems familiar. The monkey one.
Not that one though. It was from the early 2000s. At a weird.
This also seems familiar, but I don't.
Okay, I guess there's a lot that they make I didn't know about, but anything that uses that little die that you see.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can buy all these little box sets, and most of them work the same. Where it's like, oh, here's a little board, and like here's a dice, and oh, you're supposed to like clear out all the enemies just by rolling a dice and kind of moving your piece around. But what's cool is because it's Lego, make your own board. If you get bored of the current setup, so there's a lot you can do with it.
Yeah. Well, and also it looks like on the dice, it's like little tiles you can take off, so you could even like make like custom kind of dice too. So
Yeah,
like,
you
that's
can
kind
do
of
whatever
neat.
you want with the dice too. It is an actual piece. So,
Nice. That's sick.
yeah.
Does anyone else have any kind of like mechanics that come to mind as, oh my gosh, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Any other like kind of fun game mechanics you can think of? Yeah.
Yeah, bluffing games, like you were saying earlier.
Yes.
I love bluffing games.
Yeah. I think like just any like thing where it's like a lot of time it's like just talking with other people creates like really fun interactions. So
Bluffing games are fun for me specifically because I'm really bad at lying. So when I tell the truth, they think I'm lying, and it's really funny.
that's a strategy.
Yeah.
So sweet. Okay. I'll kind of keep going then a little bit. So this is just kind of some general stuff that like Adam and I were kind of like looking at that were like kind of help make some good games. Biggest one in my opinion is like legibility. I think like making sure that like how to actually play the game and like what's happening in the game being as like clear to the player as possible is like just keeps things a lot more fun and like easy to pick up. A lot of board games kind of have, and just like analog games in general, have this kind of thing of just like learning the rules a lot of time is different for every single game. And like that can kind of be a hurdle for some people. That's like something that video games don't necessarily have, where it's like generally there's certain like movement and like stuff like that are pretty consistent among most of those types of games. But like analog games, it's pretty much different. every single time. There might be some overlap, but like a lot of time it's like the actual like flow of a turn might drastically be different from like one game to another. So you want to make sure, in my opinion, that like, you know, you have things that are like very easy to tell what is happening. Kind of mentioned this a little later too, but like also like simplicity in like learning it. You don't need to have it be a simple game, but it needs to be easy to understand like for learning it. And like if you have room for like, you know, skill expression, like people being able to like master the game, that's like kind of what keeps things replayable. Also having like meaningful decision making, like you don't just want it to be like, oh yeah, I don't really have any like choice in the matter of like what's happening. That kind of keeps things a little stale. If you are able to make choices on your turns that like can actually have like noticeable results in you winning, that's what kind of keeps things fun in a sense. So, and again, this is not like a, you know, strict list of like you have to do these to have a fun analog game, but it's just kind of some things I thought that like consistently are kind of like good factors in a lot of like games that people like. So and so when you're like making your own like game, it's very similar to designing a video game. A lot of the time it's just kind of brainstorming what you maybe want like the premise or like specific mechanics to be. I think it's a good rule of thumb to like just kind of pick apart things that you like about your favorite game and like kind of use that as like a base. Generally finding like one or two kind of mechanics or like features of the game that you really like, and kind of working with that from there. And you can build off from it as much as you'd like. Obviously, it's always important to try to figure out like what you need essentially. If like you are wanting to do this like large scale game with like maybe like you know, you want to have like at least 10 players or something, you need to have ways to accommodate for that many players. If you only have like 10 cards and the game's supposed to last like a couple hours and the cards are pulled pretty frequently, you may need quite a bit more. So stuff like that to kind of factor in. You always want to try to just like figure out like essentially just what like systems, mechanics, pieces, etc. Are needed to have your game like flow in a good way. And like kind of with that as well, generally you want to try to estimate like how long your game is going to take to play. If you don't have a good idea of going into that, it might be like you maybe want to make something short, but you keep adding in these really complex mechanics, and that just can really add a lot of length to your game, which if that's what you're going for, that's okay. But that said, if you want to make a short and simple game, you might want to keep it simple. So yeah.
If I could say something, I've been playing board games for like 4 years or so, like more complex ones. I don't think I've ever seen a board game where on the box, like the amount of time it says that it'll take is true. I don't think I've ever seen that once.
Yeah, that's why I say keywords estimate. Like you obviously can.
If you don't talk to anybody and you're just a total buzzkill, it'll take 30 minutes.
Right. Well, and like a lot of time, I think also like they kind of like know the rules well enough, like when they're playtesting it. So like, yeah, that's like how long it takes them to play it. But like for new players and stuff, it might not be consistent, or like, you know, from like one, if you're playing with maybe a friend group versus like your family or something, it might be completely different like amounts of time. So you always want to try to plan around that of just like, do you want to keep things like really long or really short? Try to have a rough timeline to shoot for. I wouldn't say like you need to have it down to a T of like this game must take 15 minutes or everything's over. But generally trying to have like a guesstimate of it is helpful. So in terms of like prototype and testing, there's a lot of different ways you can kind of do this. Probably the easiest one by far is just like getting some like cardboard and note cards, or like even just like, you know, you can do it digitally too, and just kind of like plot out like what you're looking to have things function like. It doesn't need to be pretty, like just get your ideas kind of out, try to like figure things out as you go a little bit, and just kind of like take record of everything. Like if you have like a new mechanic you want to maybe implement at some point, write it down. Especially with like rules and stuff, you want to try to just write them down as much as you can, so it's not just all stuck in your head. That can really help, like if you're trying to teach other people or like play test it, so that they have an actual like thing to look at in terms of how to play your game. Don't just leave it in your head and then just explain it to people. That's a great way for people to get really confused. So yeah, but like blind testing is like a great way of just like pretty much just get some people you know and just have them try out your game, give them the rules and be like, this is kind of my game. I can give you a little bit of a synopsis, but like kind of just let them figure out from the rules you provide. And that's like a great way to kind of like observe if there's any like issues or something like that, like with your game. Because like certain things just might not make sense, and of course they can ask you about that, and that's like a good way to kind of know like maybe I need to elaborate more on this in the rules, or like maybe I need to cut certain parts out to make this make a little more sense, or reorganize things, stuff like that. So basically just like subject your friends to like experimentation in a sense with your board games.
They are experiments.
Pretty much, you're my guinea pig, and you're gonna try my Uno ripoff.
Go on the hamster wheel.
Yeah, go in the hamster wheel. So things to kind of avoid. I would say like unnecessary complexity is generally something you should kind of avoid when you can. You know, keywords unnecessary. Complexity is not bad, but you want to make sure there's usually a reason for it, and like a lot of your systems are kind of like working with one another, and it's not just, oh yeah, there's also like a random mechanic where every 5 minutes you have to roll dice, and then like I don't know, nothing really happens, but you have to do it. Like there's no reason to have that. That's a little bit of a hyperbolic kind of example, but that's kind of the main idea of just like making sure you have things that kind of work well with one another and like are not just making it hard for the sake of being hard. Another thing is also like action paralysis. Sometimes having too many choices is really bad, actually. That said, you can certainly have it, but a lot of like you need to make sure you're kind of catering to the type of like players you're wanting to like have play your game. If you give your player like 50 different options to do on a given turn, like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, I have a great time with it, but there are so many things you can do on your given turn. For a new player, that's overwhelming. And like that, even if you're playing like something like a fighter, where you only really have to just hit people with your weapon, that's like, there's still quite a bit of other things of like movement, like jumping, if you want to like throw something at them, like stuff like that. And like that's not even including like spells and stuff. So, like that's a whole nother can of worms. So it's not bad to have like a lot of choice in your game, but you want to make sure to like kind of have it presented in a way that's like simple to understand and accessible for people. I would also suggest not only testing with your friends and family. Try to just get like just random people to try your game if you want to try to get it out there. Because like a lot of times you can just get interesting insights from people, and like you don't have to take every single ounce of feedback that they provide to you, but it can be really helpful to just kind of get like, oh yeah, that's not like something I didn't think of. Also I would say like don't be worried about like the art and like stuff like that early on. You can kind of like do all of that later once you like have the mechanics more refined, because like maybe you realize that like there's a certain mechanic that we have that like it's not really working. And if you already did like a whole bunch of art for like maybe like say you have like a whole like card part of your game, if you already did the art for the cards, that kind of sucks to just like get rid of them. So like I would suggest just trying to figure out what you want the core mechanics to be, and like once you have like a sort of like fun gameplay loop and like everything's kind of like working pretty well, then I would suggest maybe trying to do the art and stuff. But like don't just do it right away. And also kind of with all that as well, be open to feedback. Like you might have like a vision in mind for like how you want your game to be, and that's cool. It might not be perfect. And like I'm not saying you should compromise on like how you want your game to be, but I think there's certain things where you can kind of implement some feedback from people, and it could make overall a better game. So, but yeah, that said, if you want to ignore all that, go for it. I mean, yeah, what's up, Adam?
I was gonna say, for the unnecessary complexity point, I really enjoy D&D and Magic if I have somebody just kind of sitting over my shoulder telling me what I'm doing, because I can't keep up.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think Magic's fun, and like, I think a lot of the cards are really cool, and like, I think being able to build your own deck and like all that, great. But knowing what every single card does,
You gotta be a lawyer, man.
yeah. Like, I would say like, there's obviously a broad appeal for games like that. It's just a matter of like actually knowing how to explain it to people is kind of the hard part. So, but yeah. Okay, so that's all I kind of have for like. Unfortunately, we might not have an activity tonight.
Just pull up the board. And
Apologies for the technical difficulties. That was
unfortunate.
unfortunate, seeing as it literally worked perfectly fine earlier. Where'd my mouse go? Okay, there we go. All right. That's all I have for this week then. Just a couple quick reminders. We'll be going over our risk and reward meeting next week, also known as the gambling meeting. Then what?
You better talk about Black Hat.
We'll play it.
I might talk about it a little bit, just a little bit. Then reminder that the Game Jam is going to be on April 10th, 7 p.m. Make sure to be there. And social night will be next Friday, also at 7 p.m. We'll have a little small Smash tournament going on. Marston 2200, be there, be square. Without further ado, go forth, make games, be awesome. So, yeah.